What happens when the hunter becomes the hunted? When a man whose name once silenced rooms and froze rivals in their tracks suddenly finds himself bleeding in public, surrounded by panicked civilians and flashing police lights. This is a story of Dayne Brajkovich, a man who rose through violence, intimidation, and loyalty to become one of the most feared figures in Australia's outlaw biker underworld. As a former sergeant-at-arms of the Hells Angels, Brajkovich represented authority, enforcement, and raw power within one of the most notorious criminal organizations in the world. For years, his presence alone was enough to send a message. Rivals feared him, associates respected him, and law enforcement monitored him closely. But in December 2023, that fear-based protection collapsed in a matter of seconds. At a packed music event in Perth, surrounded by thousands of ordinary people, Brajkovich was brutally ambushed. The man who once enforced discipline through violence now became a victim of the very world he helped shape. Blood replaced reputation, panic replaced control, and survival replaced dominance. This attack did not happen by chance. It was a result of years of conflict, internal betrayal, shifting alliances, and the unforgiving rules of outlaw biker culture. This is a story of rise, arrogance, exile, and the brutal price paid when protection disappears. Before we dive deep into this chilling underworld story, make sure you like the video, subscribe to Crime Cipher, and ring the bell so you never miss our in-depth breakdowns of crime, power, and the figures who operate in the shadows. Every case we cover peels back layers most people never see. And this one reveals how quickly fear can turn into vulnerability. The early foundations of a violent identity. Long before Dane Brajkovich became a known name in police intelligence reports, he was already shaping the identity that would later define his life. Growing up in Australia, Brajkovich was drawn to physical dominance, competition, and environments where strength equaled respect. Boxing became his first proving ground, a controlled space where violence was rewarded and fearlessness was admired. Inside the ring, he learned discipline, endurance, and how to break an opponent mentally before the final blow was delivered. These lessons would later transfer seamlessly into criminal life. Brajkovich's boxing career brought him early attention, particularly after a knockout victory over Nick Cara. The win wasn't just athletic, it was symbolic. It showed his willingness to overpower others without hesitation, a trait that resonated deeply in environments where intimidation was currency. However, while boxing offered rules and boundaries, the underworld did not. Outside the ring, aggression went unchecked, and the appetite for risk grew stronger. The same mindset that made him dangerous in sport made him reckless in everyday life. As his reputation grew, Brajkovich gravitated toward people and spaces where fear was valued more than restraint. Violence was not something to avoid, it was something to master. This psychological foundation set the stage for everything that followed. By the time criminal opportunity presented itself, he was already prepared to embrace it. Entry into the criminal underworld. By 2009, Dane Brajkovich's trajectory towards serious crime became impossible to ignore. He was arrested for dealing ecstasy and sentenced to prison, marking his formal entry into Australia's organized criminal ecosystem. For many, incarceration serves as a warning. For others, it becomes a networking opportunity. Brajkovich fell into the second category. Prison exposed him to hardened criminals, outlaw bikers, and individuals who viewed crime not as a mistake, but as a lifestyle. During this period, Brajkovich was shot, an event that could have ended his life. Instead, it became part of his legend. A bullet remained lodged in his leg, a permanent reminder of survival through violence. Rather than deterring him, the incident reinforced his belief in toughness and resilience. In outlaw culture, survival equals legitimacy. Pain is proof of commitment. Crucially, Brajkovich refused to cooperate with authorities. Silence elevated his standing among criminals and bikers alike. Loyalty to the code mattered more than freedom. This refusal marked him as someone who could be trusted inside criminal circles, a necessary qualification for deeper involvement with outlaw motorcycle clubs. Becoming a Hells Angel enforcer. Over time, Brajkovich underwent a complete physical and psychological transformation. His body became covered in tattoos, each symbol representing allegiance, defiance, or past violence. He would eventually be labeled Australia's most tattooed biker, a walking billboard of outlaw identity. Tattoos within biker culture are not decoration. They are history etched into skin. Each mark communicates survival, loyalty, and readiness to act. By 2020, Brajkovich had risen to become an enforcer within the Hells Angels, one of the most powerful and internationally recognized outlaw motorcycle clubs. As sergeant-at-arms, his role was not ceremonial. He was responsible for discipline, internal enforcement, and ensuring that respect was maintained through intimidation or violence when necessary. His presence at any location carried implicit threat. This position placed him at the center of biker politics, rivalries, and power struggles. He was no longer just a participant. He was a tool of organizational control. But with that power came visibility. And visibility in the outlaw world is always dangerous. Reputation forged through public violence. Brajkovich's notoriety reached a national level following a violent public brawl with rebels leader Nick Martin. Captured on CCTV, the footage showed repeated punches thrown in broad daylight. To ordinary citizens, it looked like chaos. To outlaw bikers, it looked like dominance. Public violence is risky, but when executed without fear, it sends a powerful message. Legally, the consequences were minimal. An $800 fine barely registered as punishment. But reputationally, the incident elevated Brajkovich's standing dramatically. It confirmed that he was not afraid of exposure, police attention, or retaliation. In the biker world, fearlessness often matters more than strategy. Just weeks later, Nick Martin was assassinated. While Brajkovich was not implicated, the proximity of events amplified his myth. Police intelligence flagged him as a potential flashpoint for future conflict. The underworld began watching more closely. Power attracts enemies, and Brajkovich was accumulating both. The psychology of power and arrogance. Power in outlaw culture is intoxicating. For years, Brajkovich operated with protection of a global criminal brand behind him. That protection breeds confidence, and eventually arrogance. When consequences are delayed or avoided, behavior escalates. The belief that one is untouchable slowly replaces caution. Brajkovich began openly challenging decisions, questioning alliances, and asserting independence within the club. These actions may appear minor, but within tightly controlled criminal organizations, dissent is dangerous. Loyalty is not optional, it is enforced. The same violence used against enemies is used internally to maintain order. This psychological shift marked the beginning of his downfall. Power had convinced him he could survive without alignment. But in outlaw culture, individual strength never outweighs collective authority, legal battles, and strategic intelligence. Unlike many enforcers, Brajkovich possessed a tactical understanding of the legal system. In 2022, after being expelled from the Hells Angels, he challenged Western Australia's anti-insignia laws. These laws were designed to restrict the display of outlaw gang symbols, effectively criminalizing identity. Brajkovich argued that authorities could not prove he was displaying active gang insignia. The court agreed. It was a rare and embarrassing loss for law enforcement. The victory reinforced his belief in his own intelligence and ability to navigate systems designed to contain him. But legal victories do not equal underworld protection. While the courtroom win boosted his ego, it also confirmed his isolation. Expulsion meant vulnerability. Old grudges resurfaced. Rivals sense opportunity. Without the club shield, Brajkovich was exposed. Warning signs before the ambush. Before December 2023, signs of escalating danger were already present. Brajkovich's Ascot home had been targeted in a drive-by shooting, a clear warning. In the criminal world, warnings are rarely repeated. They exist to test response, measure fear, and assess vulnerability. At the same time, tensions within biker circles intensified. Brajkovich had opposed alliances with rival gangs such as the Rebels and Gypsy Jokers. These disagreements placed him directly against powerful figures. In outlaw politics, neutrality does not exist. You are either aligned or marked. Each unresolved conflict narrowed the list of people willing to act. Protection was gone. Reputation alone was no longer enough. The December 2023 ambush at Kings Park. On a warm December night in 2023, Brajkovich attended a Ministry of Sound concert at Kings Park in Perth. Thousands gathered for music and celebration, unaware that underworld violence was about to erupt among them. At approximately 9:50 p.m., a confrontation unfolded near the venue entrance. Within moments, chaos replaced rhythm. Brajkovich was stabbed in the neck, collapsing as blood poured down his chest. Witnesses froze in shock as a man once feared for inflicting violence now fought for his life. Emergency services rushed him to Royal Perth Hospital while police helicopters circled overhead. The attack was precise, targeted, and intentional. His wife witnessed the aftermath, transforming the incident from underworld conflict into personal devastation. This was not random. This was execution attempted in public. Law enforcement response and crackdown. Western Australian police responded with overwhelming force. Gang crime squad, tactical response group, and rapid apprehension squad units were deployed almost immediately. Raids followed across multiple locations. Firearms, motorcycles, and drugs were seized. 5 individuals were arrested. Authorities made it clear that violence spilling into public spaces would not be tolerated. The attack endangered thousands of civilians. It forced police to act visibly and decisively. When criminal conflicts threaten public safety, invisibility disappears. The crackdown sent a message to every outlaw group in the region. Escalation invites exposure. Survival, acceptance, and fallout. After emergency surgery, Dane Brajkovich survived. Bandaged and weakened, he later stated, "I asked for it, and I got it." The comment reflected a deep acceptance of outlaw reality. In this world, violence is not tragic, it is transactional. Consequences are expected. Public reaction was divided. Some saw poetic justice. Others saw a man living by the code he chose. The attack humanized him without erasing his past. Fear had finally turned inward. Now expelled, injured, and exposed, Brajkovich's future remains uncertain. Whether he disappears into obscurity or attempt to return will shape Western Australia's biker landscape. But one truth remains unchanged. In outlaw culture, survival is temporary, and power is never permanent. The story of Dane Brajkovich is not just about one man's rise and fall. It is a warning about the unforgiving nature of power built on fear. In the outlaw world, reputation can protect you for years, but the moment loyalty fractures and alliances shift, that protection vanishes. Violence does not retire, it only waits. Brajkovich survived the night he was meant to be erased, but survival does not equal victory. The scars, the isolation, and the exposure are reminders that in this world, no one remains untouchable forever. What makes this story truly disturbing is how public it became. Once hidden conflicts now unfold in front of ordinary people, turning parks, concerts, and city streets into battlegrounds. The line between the criminal underworld and everyday life is thinner than ever, and the consequences ripple far beyond those involved. Every attack sends a message, not just to rivals, but to a society forced to witness the fallout. If you want to keep uncovering the real stories behind Australia's most dangerous criminals, outlaw gangs, and the hidden power structures shaping our streets, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Crime Cipher, and ring the bell icon so you never miss an upload. Here on Crime Cipher, we go deeper than headlines, exposing the truths most people never see. Stay sharp, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next case.